Alright, welcome back to Getting to Know Edith Finch. In this short episode, we are going to go through Edie and Odin's room and Calvin's room. And it's going to be a really fun time.
That's ambitious of you.
Oh, well, they're very small rooms.
Well, I spent a lot of time in Edie's room.
They don't take that long. We've got all this caged birds that look, all the birds that she's owned have been memorialized.
No.
It's the rooms of all the birds. So it's like almost pathological, kind of like retaining the memory of everything. Look, there's a snake in here, Bob. Yeah, wild.
We got along, and it was a good place to hide from my mom.
This is another like meta kind of like breaking the
it's
box,
2D, 3D,
playing with the boundaries, 2D, 3D
yeah.
moment, the birds flying out of the painting, and in fact revealing that the painting is not a real painting, but the frame was just painted on the wall, right? It's like the whole thing is trompe wall. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I got a little paper shark here.
I feel like there's sharks in every room.
Referencing the shark adventure. Oh, nice thing about this game, the fact that Edith is pregnant will come up more later, but I just love games where your actual body is in the... It's just nice. And the Witness doesn't let you look down below like 70 degrees.
Yeah.
A lot of games you look down and you just see nothing, which is the reason why the Witness doesn't do it. Yeah, so it's just cool. Yeah, horror games often let you see your body because it... I don't know, it's more immersive or something, and just makes you feel embodied in the game. Built 1937 Sven Finch.
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Right, so this is like Edie exaggerating stuff like you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah. Got a Norse flag, a lot of Norse heritage in the Pacific Northwest for obvious reasons, a similar climate, so people immigrated there. When we visited Seattle, we went to an awesome like Nordic heritage museum in the like Ballard neighborhood. So anyways, just more like relatively cultural groundedness of this game.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long time.
Edith Jr., right? So this confirms that Edie is Edith, which means that the title is a pun. What remains of grandmother Edith Finch is the house. What remains of regular... I guess we'll just spoil it because this is a game full of spoilers. Even though this is a powerful twist, so if you don't want to,
If you're interested in this game,
yeah,
you
skip
should play it.
Yeah. I mean, you should play the game instead of just watching us YouTube through it and rant all over it.
And like we were saying earlier, this is a game exploring the difference between just watching something versus actually playing it.
Yeah. So all that said, huge spoilers. Edith Finch is also not immortal. Like all humans, she's doomed to die, and especially like members of the Finch family. And what remains of her, right, is none other rather than the house, is the diary, and the diary is being read by a future generation, namely her child. She like dies in childbirth or something. It's a little bit contrived, but it's like her child reading the diary, and that's like the frame story basically, or like the implied frame story of the game, is that Edith, the player character, is dead, but her memory lives on through the diary and the family connections and, just that whole kind of thing.
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
So that sounds like it's a joke.
Even in her 90s.
Yeah.
Sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Yeah, very pink.
Very highly pink.
A few other things here, though. So we have there's all these like little hobby zones that are depicted.
Weird. Why would you like put like frame a newspaper about the mole man?
Oh, because they're stories that she was in. I don't know. If you get in the local paper, you frame it.
Famous,
Yeah. I don't know.
Like,
and she likes cultivating the mythology.
Yes, exactly. All of her stories are so exaggerated, and like she's just a very, very stubborn woman. Like that's the main character trait.
So Sven built the house, basically. Edie was married to Sven. Odin was maybe even... Oh, wait, we can open up the thing. Yeah, Odin was even the generation before Edie.
Yeah. So what, he built the house and then moved the house over here or something?
Yes. Well, no, that was the plan. But the house sank in the ocean. We'll talk about this more later, but it dramatically sank in the ocean, which, to me, I don't know, it's just like... He was trying to bring the house... Bring the whole family with him. You know, all of Edith Finch, I talked about how it's an existential game.
Maybe that's why she's so obsessed with, like, keeping the house.
Yeah.
And, like...
Well, it's not just out of, like, duty to Odin or something.
No, but trauma, right? Like,
well, sort of, but both... It's like Edie, 90 years old, spent her whole life building this life that's full of so much detail and so many relationships and, like, connections and hobbies. Yeah, just like so much history, so many memories and stuff, like all this stuff. But then she dies, as all people do, and then like it's gone. Like what has become of the house? Boarded up, 7 years, just empty. And so it's like it's like building the huge house only to then have it be totally abandoned is like the life that we build up and then it just comes to an end, you know? And similarly, bringing the house over from Norway, you know, it's like everybody's trying to kind of have this thing continue, right? And we have children, and we're part of the generations and stuff, and we pass down certain things. But it's like, also, like, we can't, like, you know, I'm the main character here, right? Edie Jr., and, like, I'm coming back here like on a bit of a vacation trip journey to try and like figure this stuff out. But like no, wait, like there's so much, you know, like if I tried to absorb all this, I'd literally become Edith Finch Senior, you know? Like I've got my own life, so I'm probably attending like, you know, Portland State University or whatever. And similarly Odin, right, he tried to bring the whole house over, but it sank, right? It was lost. In the end, the same Edie builds this whole beautiful, amazing monument, and then lost. And Edith is writing the journal, and just like Molly was writing her journal, and so it's like a big question, I guess, or theme of Edith Finch is just like about how we're doing this thing. We're like building up these lives and then trying to pass it to the next generation, but we can never pass it all the way because they're building their own house, you know? Yeah. So, I don't know, it's just like, why do we do this? Or like, how can we do it better? Or how can we understand our place, right? We're in this process, like the little birds coming out of the painting
kind
or
of
something.
A sad story, right? Because like all Edith Finch wants to do, or like Grandma Edith Finch, is like pass on this story and mythology and life and stuff, and so she's like trying to imbue it in all these different characters.
Yeah.
And now you're the character that she's tried to imbue it upon, and you're like trying to come back and understand it, and it's like, who are these people? Yeah.
Like, and that's why Dawn, right, the mother who had to deal with it much more than I was the granddaughter, right, but Dawn was the daughter of Edie. And, you know, she had to live with all this self-mythologizing and Edie trying to put all the details of life into her and stuff. You know, so she was like anti-family. She was like, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to, like, move to India. You know, it's just going to be... I'm leaving this stuff because I don't want to have your weird tons of obsession memory of every bird pet that you had, every giant yarn ball that you knit and stuff, you know, like, all foisted upon me. So it's just, you know, it's just a game about all those kind of relationships and stuff.
Who's that person thinking about?
Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones.
Edith Finch, at a younger age.
Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him.
Oh, I can see why that would cause a fight.
Yeah.
Because it's Dawn's child and Dawn's not about it. And she's like, don't do this to my children. Okay.
Yeah. Hands. picture.
Hey, it's the room. Oh, she was painting it.
Painting
Cute.
it, yeah.
That's fun. Again, like layers upon layers. Like these things didn't just happen.
Yeah,
Somebody did it.
Memorializing Lewis some more with a little table thing to do.
Yeah. All about that.
Yeah.
Her room was like a museum.
Yeah, so they have this little
So
shrine.
her room is like a museum, but then the house is like a museum.
This is like a cutaway section of the Finch house, of course. This is a little shrine to Odin, right? Edith's father.
With the same little thing that she's making right now.
What? Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, nice. That must be sword up there. And then even over Odin, we have the maternal and paternal grandfathers, right? Wow. So it's going back another to like unnamed characters, but that's obviously who those are. Okay, Odin's story. This is like one of the shortest.
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune. And misfortune.
And notice, what is this? It's one of those 3D viewer things.
Oh, come on.
This is basically video game technology. Video games are like everywhere in this, but explicitly. Except actually they do show up like way at the end in Lewis's story, right? He's like the gamer, like stoner bro.
Right.
But they're everywhere. They're in the immersive room. They're in the comic book.
This is like
before
video.
Every single room in this is like a different take on like what is this thing that we call a video game? What's all the different media that we use? You know,
thinking,
it's relating games to all these different things.
Right, like first is like imagination is like the children's game before
the diary, the play sets,
that's so clever.
Yeah.
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan.
Right, confirmed. There's the picture of the guy who's hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind.
He's trying to leave it behind, but he's bringing his entire house. So he's, it's a little bit mixed feelings, right? Just like the mixed feelings that everyone in this family has those mixed feelings, but like they want to leave behind. I mean, and I'm sure I love my family, but even I, who have no big dramatic stories of sailing a house across an ocean or like or a family curse.
There's still time, Jackson.
There's some ways in which I want to rebel against my folks and be like, like fuck all this BS. Like this is I want to do my own thing, Mm-hmm. And then there's other ways in which I'm like, but like now I feel so atomized and I'm just out here, an individual in society and like I want to connect with my roots. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, exactly.
You and your family.
So it's a mix. You can never quite leave it behind.
Yeah.
But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea.
And Odin. He dies.
And
Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home. Orcas Island.
On the island, No. So this is literally like what happens to all generations, right? The parents die, and then it's like as if in a huge wave, and the children are like the survivors stranded upon the shore of the future. I don't know. It's just like this is just what happens,
Mm-hmm.
Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Yeah.
Right.
Already like excited, her own life. Homemaking millennials or, whatever.
Whatever generation you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice little microcosm of what you're saying about. It's about video games. It's about family.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Yeah. It just keeps going back, right? Like there are dudes before Odin and stuff. There's just like there's no way. Like the house had to have sunk, otherwise it would have just been too much. It would have just been too crazy.
Yeah, the idea is it keeps going, right? Like underneath this house, there's another house. Underneath that house, there's another house.
Note that Odin Finch also, this reflects the mysteries of death. This was by him. He wrote a book called The Mysteries of Death and Thereafter. He seems like an interesting guy, like a Norwegian philosopher.
Maybe he foresaw it. Maybe he wanted to say that.
Yeah, I don't know. Mysteries of Death and Thereafter, and this one, Joining the Great Majority. It feels like it's awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature, so Odin Finch is a big dude. And Great Majority not meaning like the Democrats or something, but like the dead, right? Like joining the great majority,
Right,
the
the
mass of
99%
humanity.
who have already
Actually,
passed.
it's only like 97%.
Oh, come
so
on.
there's still hope.
The
But
97%.
but yeah. So, anyways, that's Odin's story. That's pretty much this room. Look at this freaking.
It's got a
sweet
giant sparrow.
Sven and Edie. That's Sven with the hat on, and Edie with the little.
He's the constructor. He's
building everything, and then Edie's painting it. I don't know,
Yeah.
just super cute husband and wife team as giant sparrows.
Orcs
It's
is great.
great.
Good book. Thanks for that.
Who's that by Margaret Atwood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's been sealed.
Yeah. It's,
Because she also is no longer
yeah.
part of the family.
there's
Wait,
this,
where'd you get that key?
this is wait. Oh, it's the same key for all of them.
Oh.
There's a secret in this bathroom.
Yeah,
It's in the
love
last
these.
place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
Again, the book
Cute.
is represented like that. You see
Book
the
in the
astronaut
book.
kid is operating the book over
Yeah.
the top of the thing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Story in the story in the story.
Also, yeah, little interactive books and stuff. You know, just every form of media is here. Even photography development. Calvin Finch. People taking photos of the mirror. That's this very...
Sven gave Sam an
No,
old
I don't
camera
know.
he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
So Sam became the big photographer.
Oh, right, you're developing it back here.
Yeah,
so you can
yeah,
have a dark
nice
room.
and dark. Yeah, custom dark room. Milton strikes again with a foreshadowing of the next room.
Alright, Space Cadet. Whoever this is. Calvin.
Yeah. So this is sweet, right? It's like two like twin brothers, or just very close to each other in age and stuff, brothers. Sam and Calvin. And we've got this room that's split down the middle
Right,
between
yeah,
the two
'cause
of
of course
them.
they're
The bunk
fighting,
bed,
they're
yeah,
trying to be different from
trying
each
to
other.
distinguish each other. It's like very Gerardian. Command center. This is like space.
That's like a sweet room.
With all this camo stuff. This is like ammo boxes or something. I don't know what is
That's
this.
film.
Oh, that's film because he later became a big photographer guy.
Well, he was always a big photographer. Whoever his face
Books
just
and
gave him
stuff.
that camera.
Yeah.
I love that they have these little. Oh, that's so cool. I wish I had a room like that.
Yeah. Oh, we don't get a bridge across there. But it's like a Yellowstone, like, you know, wilderness command post. This is like some Teddy Roosevelt stuff going on.
Yeah.
Little
Well, these are the
military
two
base,
American dreams,
Firewatch
right?
style mountains.
Like one is the nature American
I
dream,
mean, I
and
don't
one
know.
is the space American dream.
They're two of them. One could have been like a construction worker. little boys like all that stuff. Dinosaur paleontologist.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him.
Yes, so this is the generation. So I guess Edie is a great grandmother. I've been referring to her as a grandmother, but no, great grandmother. Sam is a grandfather.
Yes.
Right, and then Kay, the person with the pink bathroom. But she's not.
Was the ex-wife.
Yes. I guess she's just not part of the story because if this became a 4 generations of women's story, that would just be too much. Nobody would play it. It'd be impossible to keep it straight. Yeah.
So Sven.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. No, families explode pretty quick.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
I love the little like shrinking down. I mean, it's obviously like
This is
crouching
like
down,
the
but it's almost
tiptoe.
like becoming
Becoming
small, like a child.
Yeah.
So this you painted on the wood is the memorialized
Yeah.
art from
Yeah.
Edie.
You know, like we could be completion about this. We could find like the little doily in every room, the little painted
Yeah.
wood in every room, the references. In
I don't
every
know.
room.
I don't know if it's that systematic though. Like, I mean, it. You know, like does this have like a cloth thingy? Maybe.
Yeah, right there. You're looking at it.
Oh yeah.
The
Okay.
little-
All right. Yeah, you're great.
Yeah. No, but there's so much stuff we could be trying to find.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
swinging simulator. Oh, with independent
My
leg
brother
control.
said he'd die before.
Holy
he
shit,
came
we
out
can
of
like do the thing where you kick
And he
back and
did.
forth and make a freaking.
Oh, you're gonna like
Oh,
spin.
like,
All
yeah.
the funeral.
Wow,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
put
yeah.
that in.
Yeah.
He'd never be afraid
Wild,
again.
dude.
And he wasn't.
At Barbara's
I think
funeral.
Calvin always wanted to fly.
It's just like super high fog again.
Sam, Calvin, dinner's ready. Coming.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
Beautiful skybox.
I told him going around was impossible.
We should go look.
Maybe
at
if I
this.
hadn't
It's
said that.
probably there.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe we could-
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up, then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
So this is more like surrealness
After the
of
funeral.
the game.
Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
And also just the kind of imaginativeness of like, it's like a childhood simulator, right? It's like another like simulating a childhood dream or daydream. So I don't know, just this kind of like very romantic image, but then of course tragic. But I don't know.
Right, it's like you both sympathize with it. You remember that feeling. You remember.
Yeah. So just continues to be a beautiful game. Another thing that I think this area is specifically about is a kind of nature versus nurture thing. So like all the quotes from, it's the brother remembering Calvin, and he's saying, maybe if I had done this and that, I could have changed him, right? I could have stopped it, but I doubt it. He says he
just like
probably had made up his mind, or like he always, you know, once he said he was going to do something, he was going to do it. And so there's this like, could he have been different? Like, could he have changed? You know, which is something that is a big deal in interpersonal relationships, because you're often trying to change people, but you don't, you know, you don't want to waste your time on something that's futile. And there's no counterfactual to compare to, so you're just always left asking yourself those questions of like, well, if I had behaved differently, would they have turned out differently, or were they just destined to be this way? Of course, the fact that they're twins, right, makes that super pointy, because they're like the same genetically, like all the twin studies and stuff. They, you know, you see the Calvin's height stops growing in 1961, right, because he dies, and then Sam's height keeps going.
Look, he's graduating.
Right, yeah. This is what I was saying about the photography of the book. Like, he wasn't reading Captured the Secret Lives of War Photographers as, like, you know, an 8-year-old or something. This is, like, stuff from later in his life. Yeah, I don't know. It just, kind of, it's not as, like, I don't know if,
But this is also nature versus nurture, because he was always into nature, and then he continued growing, and he became like a photographer of nature, or whatever, or like of being
that's
like a
not
little
really
soldier.
what nature means, and nature versus nurture.
Well, no,
means,
it's
like,
sorry,
your
whatever,
genetics.
of being like a soldier or whatever. Like, as a little
Yeah.
kid, he wanted to be a soldier. He grew up.
Yes,
He was
yes.
all about being a soldier.
Yeah.
So like, could he have changed
Yes.
his brother? No.
Yes, it's like that 7-Up series or something. It's like that the dream, like, these are the same people. They're like literally
Yeah.
the same people as they're born, you know.
Yeah.
But then they like go and have totally different dreams.
Mom said
and
grab Sam
aspirations and
enlisted at 18
personalities
and
stuff.
never set foot in the room again.
Yeah, enlisted at 18. You know, so just like, I don't know.
Yeah. Determined.
Yeah, and I'm left saying that a lot in this game. Is just like, man, the vibes. Like,
Yeah, I
there's not as
know.
much
It's
like
strong.
heavy analytical content as in The Witness, but I feel like there's a lot to appreciate. You know, people play this and they're like, that's a poignant story about a kid swinging around and dying. Like, wow, it's so tragic. It's like sort of subconsciously you get, you know, it's like everyone can understand what's sad about this. What if I hadn't been there? But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of. It's worth kind of taking a step back, even if it means being a little redundant, to think about all this stuff, because I don't know, making it explicit, it just helps me, I don't know, just better understand the human condition, which is the purpose of this game. But anyways, that about does it for this episode. We'll make our way through this super hilarious life of a caterpillar trapdoor.
Why
And becomes a butterfly.
Why are books so prominent then? I guess because it's about story.
Yeah. And it's just a way of alluding to like so much, like more than you could ever in a lifetime, you know.
Look
More
at
so
those
than
books
photos
that
or
are
something.
painted, like, again, 3D, 2D.
Yeah, actually I always assumed that they just like didn't have the graphics, you know?
No, those
to
are
put-
real.
to put
Everywhere
real
else
books
is
on
real
there.
books.
Yeah, but maybe there are. It's like Sven painted the books because they
Yeah.
wanted to look like a disguised bookshelf.
Yeah.
You know.
All
The
right.
passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Alluding to the belly thing.
Yeah.
Edie's father Odin built the original house.
Oh, how could I forget? Odin, of course, named Odin because he's like the original All-Father, as I think I mentioned already. The Finches are named the Finches because it's like Darwin's Finches, right? They're all
they're all
different.
evolving on their different
They all have their
islands.
different
Oh.
niche. It's like they're each their different world, just like how each human, right? They're tied together as a family, but every man is an island. And everyone has their own internal like experience of the world, which is totally unique, right? Like
Yes.
they're all living together in this house. They're all related, but they
But
have
have
like
you seen their stories?
yeah,
are
the
totally
rooms
different.
are so different, and that's reflected in the different architectural styles and everything.
I love that.
So, anyway, that's why they're called the Finches, because it's like they're each on their own island, but they're all descended from the one root and stuff.
That's
It's all
great.
about the variation and whatnot. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Getting to Know Edith Finch. Join us next time to check out the star-studded and very entertaining story of Barbara.
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
But you're just going to have to content yourself with that peephole for now. So see you next time.